Hello and welcome to the Vital Blend. My name is Anthony Vita. So great that you could be here for today's episode. I want to introduce you to Dr. Aajay Shah, who over 40 years ago became a board certified cardiologist. But as you'll learn, he's not just any cardiologist. You see, about 4 years ago, he discovered that his own health was failing him. And this is also when he discovered the healing potential of a whole food, plant-based diet and lifestyle. Now, Dr. Shah ended up reversing his own disease. He reclaimed his health. He became a shining example to his very own patients and now helps them do the very same. You see, Dr. Shah believes that education is key, but not just any education. He shows his patients the true value in prescribing diet and lifestyle ahead of pills and procedures. In other words, Dr. Shah is a role model, not only to his own patients, but also to every single doctor out there who wants their patients to overcome chronic lifestyle diseases. So right now, let's meet Dr. Aajay Shah. Hello, Dr. Shah. It is so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for stopping by the Vital Blend.
Thank you.
There's so much that I want to talk to you about, but one of the things that I want to get out of the way is how many hours, when you were starting to become a doctor, how many hours did they give you talking about diet and nutrition?
I went to medical school 41 years ago, and during the medical school, it was less than 10 hours of education of nutrition in 5 years, less than 10 hours. So it was like 2 hours a year, if not less. And then I went into residency for 3 years, and it was also less than 10 hours. And then I went into cardiology fellowship at a reputable place in Boston. And even during the cardiology fellowship, where all cardiac disease are mostly because of what we eat, my nutrition education, again, was less than 10 hours. So before I became certified into lifestyle medicine just 4 years ago, my total nutrition education over 37 years was less than 30 hours.
I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, what do you think about that now?
I think a lot of medical schools are changing now. I wish I was better equipped because I'm realizing that a lot of the chronic disease are because of our lifestyle. And physicians are not trained, are not equipped to talk about lifestyle. Plus, the payment system in America is such that talking about lifestyle medicine or talking about lifestyle doesn't get reimbursed properly. So a lot of doctors don't have incentive to talk about lifestyle. They are not trained. They don't have incentive. They themselves don't follow it. They actually don't have enough knowledge. So most doctors just end up prescribing medicine because that's just a quick, easy approach to fix the problem temporarily. But I think if you want to really reverse the disease, and if you really want to halt the process, and if you really want to make person live long and live healthy, only way that can happen is because of lifestyle medicine.
So what types of things would doctors get paid for?
So doctors would get paid for prescribing a medicine. Doctors would get paid for doing a procedure. Doctors would get paid for sending somebody to a surgery. And those are the only things doctors will get paid for. I think many times the doctors are not reimbursed based on the time they spend, but based on the severity of the illness. So for example, if I spend with somebody half an hour talking about their sleep, I may not get paid for it because sleep is not considered a reimbursable service. On the other hand, if I prescribe Lipitor, which is a cholesterol lowering medicine, and even if I give a patient just 3 minutes, I will get paid a large amount because I took care of high cholesterol. So the reimbursement in America is really, really messed up in my opinion. I wish the systems are changing now. American College of Lifestyle Medicine is, and even functional medicine, integrative medicine, all those fields are pushing Medicare and a lot of insurance companies to start reimbursing for the time spent instead of just the severity of illness.
So how did you break out of all of this? How did you come to learn about a whole food plant-based diet?
So that's a long story, but 4 years back, my hemoglobin A1C, which is the measure of diabetes over 90 days, came back high. And I did not want to become diabetic. I was pre-diabetic. So I really changed my lifestyle pretty much overnight. And then I came across this wonderful field of lifestyle medicine. So I got board certified into lifestyle medicine 4 years ago. Matter of fact, I studied so hard that I scored second highest out of 600 in the whole exam. So I was very proud, very actually felt comfortable talking about lifestyle medicine. And since that day, every patient I see in my practice, we talk about 6 pillars of healthy lifestyle.
Right. And I do want to get into that. But first, I want to talk about this A1C that you had that was what I think was 5.9, right?
5.9.
So what made you say, I'm going to use plants, I'm not going to use pills? How did you get to that point?
I realized that my A1C was because of obesity I was suffering from. My A1C was because of the amount of fat I was eating in my diet, particularly saturated fat. And we know now, based on scientific evidence, that it's the obesity and it's the amount of saturated fat we eat in our diet leads to type 2 diabetes. So I needed to reverse that. And I did not want to go on pills. I definitely did not want to go on insulin like many of my uncles were on. Most of my uncles on my mom's side were diabetic, and most of them were on insulin. And I did not want to go on insulin. So overnight, I became whole food plant-based. I lost about 65 or 70 pounds, and I maintained that over the last 4.5, 5 years. My A1C now runs 5.1, 5.2, which is as good as our son, who is only 31 years old and very lean and runs every day. So now my A1C is in very, very healthy range. But the power of plants, the power of whole food, plant-based, no oil diet has led to this major, major success.
So how long did it take to get the results that you're talking about here, to get that weight off and to get the A1C down to where you're no longer type 2?
It took me 6 months to reverse the course of diabetes. It took me 6 months to lose about 35, 40 pounds. I continued to lose more weight, but in 6 months, my A1C was in very healthy range.
Wow. And I mean, that's just amazing. So, I mean, when you saw this happen to yourself, I guess this is something when you had your own patients coming to you, this is what you probably wanted to tell them, hey, this is the best way to do it. And how did they respond?
Many patients, when they came to see me after 6 or 12 months, they almost asked me, what happened to Dr. Shah? Did he die or what? Because I was so unhealthy and I looked so young and so healthy, they almost could not recognize me. So I think they already saw the difference. So the difference they saw was the biggest motivator for them to follow the same path. And fortunately, a lot of my patients, because I have a great rapport with my patients. I almost make them feel like they are my friends or the family. So many of my patients started following the whole food plant-based no oil program. Many of the patients, matter of fact, I started texting them. I also become very active on giving talks to the patients, to the communities, and also on a Facebook Live. And many of the videos are on YouTube now. So patients actually, after I see them in the office, they have a chance to watch my videos on YouTube and keep repeating the wonderful information again and again. And again, I think reinforcing it, I told my patients that they have to watch my weight loss videos and my diabetes videos at least 15 minutes every day. That's like part of their homework. And patients who started doing that homework, watching the videos 15 minutes a day, had wonderful results.
So you've seen your own patients reverse type 2 in 6 or so months, right?
Yes, for sure. Many patients.
Yeah, I mean, because there's so many doctors. I have heard of so many doctors who do not live a very healthy kind of life. They smoke, they eat a lot of meat, cheese, dairy, all this kind of stuff. So how could they possibly share anything helpful with their own patients, right? So, I mean, you were just a shining example, and I can't imagine why they wouldn't, like you said, say, wow, if my own doctor can do it, why can't I do it?
I think that's a great point that the doctors don't have knowledge, they don't get trained, doctors don't get paid, they themselves are not doing it. And to be honest with you, doctors sometimes are so frustrated and so tired with the paperwork and with the system that their main goal is to get patient in and out of the system like in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, what can you accomplish? Because I just want to go into the 6 or so pillars that you have, which you can't do that in just 5 or 6 minutes. You have to really make sure that they understand. And I want to go through those 6 with you because I think they're very important because it's not just about what you eat, right?
Definitely. I think all 6 pillars, they work in kind of concert. Nutrition is probably the most important pillar, but other 5 pillars are very, very close to as important as nutrition. I think nutrition sets the tone, but at the same time, physical activity, that means how much you move every day, every hour, how much exercise you do, how many hours you sleep, the quality of the sleep, how you manage stress, what kind of substance abuse you have, including alcohol, and what kind of relationship, and what kind of support, and what kind of team you have to be healthy and to live long. So I tell my patients that nutrition is important, but at the same time, I want you to be focused on all 6 pillars because they are complementary and they actually enhance each other's effect. When you sleep better, you actually eat less calories. When you sleep better, you are more in mood to exercise. When you sleep better, you don't have a mood low, so you keep having emotional eating. So every pillar, they actually interact with each other and they actually support each other. So all 6 pillars, when American College of Lifestyle Medicine designed the 6 pillar, they were very clever because they knew that all 6 pillars are very important. And now actually we are trying to add one more pillar, which is being in the nature. And being in the nature is also has an independent effect on person's health and person's longevity. Matter of fact, there are a lot of studies coming out now where people who spend time in nature, in sunlight, just the breeze and the green color of the trees and the grass. So I say the 6 pillars plus being in the nature is very important.
Definitely, definitely. We used to be outside a whole lot more than we are now. And I think a lot of this is getting back to the way it used to be for us. When it comes to sleep, I want to talk about that. It's a very big thing because I hear a lot of times people, they're not getting enough or they're waking up in the middle of the night and they can't go back. What are some things I want to talk about? What are some things that can get in the way of us getting sleep? And if we're having trouble, what are some things that we can do so that we can get a good quality rest?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Sleep medicine is a science in itself. There are textbooks, 3,000-page textbooks written on sleep itself. So sleep is a very detailed science. At the same time, the main reason the sleep gets disturbed is because of this advent of this blue lights, particularly in the late evening and just before the sleep. A lot of people are on their phone, are on their iPad, are watching TV, and all those things are emitting blue light. So I tell my patients that at least an hour or hour and a half before you go to sleep, stay away from blue light. Also, exposing yourself to sunlight in the morning enhances the sleep at night. Being physically active during the day, moving every hour enhances the sleep. Taking a hot shower at night enhances the sleep. Having some kind of journaling just before you sleep, where you put down all your worries, all your stress, and also having some kind of gratitude will also enhance the sleep. Having a 15 to 20 minute of quiet time meditation before sleep will enhance the sleep. Having a dark room, having a noise-free room will enhance the sleep. So again, there are a variety of things you can do to enhance the sleep. At the same time, I think the most important thing is that you take sleep very seriously. You take sleep as an activity which you really, most people take sleep as a passive activity. But in my opinion, sleep should be an active planning stage, and then you will get good sleep. Insomnia or lack of sleep or poor sleep affects 20 to 30% of Americans. Many of them are on sleeping pills, and sleeping pills actually have shown to increase the chances of dying and increase the chances of many mental disease. So sleeping pill is not the answer. Also, because of the epidemic of obesity, sleep apnea is also a major issue, where not just the quality of the sleep is poor, but during the sleep, oxygen saturation really drops low, and your body feels like it's starving from oxygen supply itself. So again, poor sleep and sleep apnea is a major factor in America today.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. Now, what about coffee? Because people are drinking coffee every day, maybe multiple times. This is a stimulant. How does that affect it?
Coffee is a good thing you mentioned. After noon or after 1 p.m., coffee should be avoided completely. And if you are very sensitive to caffeine to the sleep, try to eliminate the caffeine even in the morning. But for example, I have one coffee in the morning, and around noon or 1 o'clock, I stop taking any caffeine, and that's all the caffeine I have. One coffee in the morning is okay, but after that, no coffee. Even the decaf coffee has a small amount of caffeine, and a lot of people are very sensitive. So I agree with you. Caffeine should be avoided afternoon.
And that would go for tea too, right? That
Tea also, many tea have caffeine and tannin in there, and they all are stimulant, and they will keep you up at night.
right. Now, there's another pillar. We talk about substance abuse, right? So let's talk about alcohol. That's something else that people are drinking a lot more now than ever. I used to, I mean, it seems like now we've got like these people are going to bars, wineries, tailgate parties. People are drinking and it's acceptable. It's a socially accepted thing. How does alcohol wreck us? How does it damage us? And why is this something that we need to get a real big handle on?
Wow. Alcohol, in my opinion, is just a poison. It can kill you if you overdrink it, but it will definitely kill you even if you drink a small amount. According to WHO, alcohol is definitely a no-no. Even a one drink, two drinks per day will lower your lifespan and will cause a lot of the health issue. In women, one glass of wine is actually bad for causing breast cancer. So alcohol definitely is a no-no. When a person drinks a lot of alcohol, obviously they get into trouble with driving the car, the sleep gets disturbed, they gain weight. Most people, when they drink alcohol, they lose the control of the food they eat, so end up eating very unhealthy calories. Alcohol affects the liver. Alcohol can cause even a lot of different cancers. So I think alcohol is definitely no. Even in my opinion, 1 to 2 drinks for man, one drink for woman is not allowed. For example, I used to drink thinking that it's healthy, 1 to 2 drinks for many years. And I would do it once or twice a week as a relaxing thing, as a social activity, as a fun thing. I never drank too much, but I used to drink, once or twice a week, 1 or 2 drinks. But now for last 180 days, I had zero alcohol. And the benefits I realized over last 180 days, I have lost additional 20 pounds. My sleep has improved significantly. My belly fat has gone down. My mood has improved. My motivation to exercise has improved. So alcohol definitely is a slow poison. And until you quit completely, you will never know what it does to you.
Yeah, that's so, so true. And getting back to your story, you had lost a lot of weight. How many pant sizes did you end up losing?
My waist was 41, and now I wear 28.
Wow, 28.
Yeah,
That's a big, big difference. I hope you,
big difference.
I don't know. I mean, that is just amazing. And I hope that you had some clothes that you could fit into.
All my clothes, all my old clothes, my wife threw it away because she said, I never want you to go back to that. So we don't want to even keep it in the house. So I think all my old clothes are gone.
Wow. Um, I bet you've probably seen some really good transformation stories from your own patients, right?
Definitely. I think patients are excited. They actually feel like they got a new lease on their life. They feel so good. They look so good. They get so many compliments. You know, it saves a lot of the marriages. Their erectile dysfunction improves, the walking improves, the sleep improves. They feel like a new avatar of themselves.
Wow, that's great to hear. Now, is there an example of somebody in particular that you can remember that had just a really amazing plant-based transformation?
I remember distinctly an African American woman. She was diabetic. She was about 275 pounds. She was about 5'5", 5'6". So she was definitely a normal African American obese woman because African American women and obesity, particularly after age 50, is really a big epidemic. It's more than even white women, more than even Indian or Asian women. African American women and obesity is a major issue. Whenever I see any Facebook pictures of an African American family getting together for birthday, all their women in their 50s are about 250 pounds. And that's a major concern for our country and for their community. So this woman went on all 6 pillars overnight. She was tired of diabetes. She was on insulin, and she started losing about 8, 10 pounds a month. And she lost almost 80 or 90 pounds in 1 year. And she was able to get off some of the medication she was taking already. And she felt so wonderful, and she felt like a new person. And again, that example was a major push for me to keep pushing my approach to more and more people, because only thing I had to do was spend about 20 or 25 minutes with her and writing it down for her on a piece of paper what she needs to do. Obviously, motivation is important, but at the same time, like you said earlier, when she saw me changing and she saw me that I have taken an interest and I empowered her with the knowledge, she was excited and she did it. And I think, to be honest with you, if doctors just take that approach, they will get some wonderful results. Doctors just have not tried it. If doctors try what I am doing, they will make this whole America so healthy.
Definitely. That's one of the things that it disturbs me to see doctors. They're in a position where they're, like I said earlier, patients, they come to you, they trust you, they expect you to know everything that can help them. And so many doctors are just not equipped. And so someone like yourself, it kind of reminds me of how I got into this. Part of it was seeing doctors like Dr. McDougall and a lot of these others turning away patients who get better. Because from my own life, from my own friends and family, I see people that they're on pills and they're on these procedures and they never get better. They just take more and more pills. They even die with the diseases that they have. A refreshing thing to see when a doctor has patients that they're able to get off the pills to lose a lot of weight, like what you're talking about. It's such an amazing thing.
I agree with you. I think the way healthcare cost is going, the way we are living less and less. For last 3 years, 4 years, we have lived less than before. And even before the COVID-19 hit us, even 2 years before COVID-19, we lived 3 months less every year compared to the years before. So we are living unhealthy, we are living less. Last 10 years of every American's life is with misery. At least 3 or 4 chronic disease, 5, 7, 10 prescriptions, multiple procedures, multiple surgeries, and not having fun in life. And they end up last few years in a nursing home after a stroke or Alzheimer's disease or crippling arthritis or diabetes and or amputation. And again, all those things can be prevented just by simple involvement of the physician with patient's life. The 6 pillars, 7 pillars are so important to discuss with every patient. And many times, sometimes like when the patient comes back after my original visit, next time it takes me only 5 or 10 minutes to explain them what's going on. And then I guide them to my videos and my YouTube channel, and they actually can keep watching it again and again. And many doctors can take the same approach. It takes 10 minutes to record a message on YouTube for your own patient practice. And then you can refer your patients to your own videos. When patients watch other doctors' video, they do get message, they do get motivated. But when they watch their own doctor on the screen talking about patients' health, they actually get really big motivation because they see me as their guide instead of seeing Dr. McDougall or Dr. Furman, because even though they are great doctors, but they are not their doctor. I am their doctor, so I have the ownership, and patients are truly my followers, and if they see me, so I highly recommend all the doctors to get on YouTube channel and record their own videos.
That's a great thing. I love that. I wish more and more did that. I bet you probably have a lot of patients coming to you with all these crazy diets that they're trying, right? The keto diet and the Atkins diet or the Weight Watchers and everything. How do you try to talk people out of these diets and get them off the meat and cheese? Is that an easy thing that you see?
It's not easy at all because right now keto is on the craze. Everybody wants to be on keto. And it takes me much longer time to explain them that keto is going to kill more people than COVID-19. Keto has a very low fiber. Keto has a very low carbohydrate. Keto has a very high saturated fat. Keto has a very high cholesterol. Keto has a very high animal protein, which affects IGF-1 and a lot of cancers. So then keto is no. Paleo is same way. Atkins is pretty much gone now, but Atkins is the same way. And many of the Weight Watchers and other diets also are very hard to follow because many of those diets restrict the amount of food you eat. And to be honest with you, hunger is one of the action for the body which nobody can overcome. You can overcome hunger for a few hours, maybe a day, but after that it rebounds and you will eat more. So staying hungry is not the solution. The solution is to eat large quantity of food, but eat low calorie dense food, which typically is whole food plant-based. That way you can eat 3 to 4, 5 pounds of food per day and still have low calorie, total calorie per day and start losing the weight. So keto diet allows you to eat very small amount because it's very calorie dense food. So that way you cannot eat 3-4 pounds of keto food. If you do that, you'll have 7,000-8,000 calories. So keto food means less food, and eventually your hunger will take over and you will start eating more food and you will end up actually gaining more weight. again, all these things are very hard for me to explain the patient. Fortunately, I have videos on how to lose weight safely, whole food, plant-based, and I have a whole segment on keto, paleo, Atkins diet. So I don't have to keep repeating myself to all the patients. I just refer them to that video. Many times, what I will do, I will actually take their cell phone number, and I will text them the video I want them to watch. So that way they have that particular video available to them and they'll watch it in a day or two and they get all the right information about keto, paleo, Atkins, Weight Watchers. And again, education is the key. But most doctors don't have knowledge. Most doctors themselves are following keto diet. Most doctors actually themselves are not healthy. So I think many doctors are obese actually. So I think that's a major issue that we cannot be a good role model until we actually do things ourselves.
Definitely. And these types of diets, they affect men and women differently. Like, for instance, when it comes to women, hormones is a big thing. And I hear a lot about that. And I can only imagine that if you're eating a lot of animal foods that have a lot of hormones in them, it will mess up your own, right? I mean, is this what you're seeing?
Definitely. I think a lot of the animal products, including cheese and dairy, have a lot of estrogen in it. And those estrogen can affect both men and women. It messes up it messes the menstrual cycles, it messes up their ovaries, it messes up their hormonal balance. And again, yes, animal, plus like I said earlier, animal protein stimulates IGF-1, which is another hormone, which actually is responsible for causing many cancers. It's like a growth hormone. And many of the precancerous cells actually turn into cancer. So animal protein is definitely no-no. I mean, if you look at the video from P. Colin Campbell, even 15, 20 years ago, he clearly says that the animal protein is responsible for many cancers in America.
Yeah, and but talking about how it affects men now, with like let's say something like prostate cancer, which I'm sure that you see a lot of that too, right?
Yes, the milk and prostate cancer is clear association. All animal products and prostate cancer is a clear association. People who drink a lot of milk and cheese, the sperm count starts going down. They become infertile. So I think, again, definitely both men and women, animal products, dairy has an effect on their hormones.
Yeah, and something else that I'm hearing a lot about too is kidney issues. And I could only imagine if you're running all that animal protein through your kidneys, that it will wear them out, right?
Yes, I think animal protein is really hard on the kidney, particularly when you eat large amount of animal protein. Matter of fact, in America, protein has been so overemphasized over the last 100 years. Protein is considered the most important macronutrient. That's how the protein name came from. That if you look at the term protein, that means the most important. But in my opinion, protein is the least important macronutrient. People who eat more protein, they live less. And protein should be less than 10% of the calories. In America, protein is about 25 to 30% of the calorie. And a lot of that 25, 30% of protein is animal protein. And when you have that large amount of 150, 200 gram of animal protein, that's very, very hard on the kidneys, particularly if you are diabetic and if your kidneys are already suffering, and if you have the large amount of animal protein, your kidneys will suffer more.
Now, what would you say to someone who, let's say their kidneys are failing and or they don't have a lot, like a whole lot left? What can they do in terms of, obviously they would want to get rid of the animal foods, but are there any certain plant foods that they should eat or should not eat to keep their kidneys, strong?
That's a good question. Again, for people with kidney disease should avoid large amount of protein. Plant protein, fortunately, are safe. At the same time, I would say that avoid more than 0.6 gram of protein per pound for anybody, even with people with kidney disease. We need protein to build muscle. And definitely protein is important as we get older, so we don't become sarcopenic. But we don't need to eat large amount of protein, including plant protein. We need about, like I said, zero point 0.6 per pound of protein. If a person is athlete or if a person is bodybuilder, maybe they need zero point 0.8 to zero point 0.9 gram per pound. So most people can live with the protein anywhere from 60 to 100, 110 grams. But in America, protein is almost 150 to 200 grams, and that's just too much protein.
Right. I think we're getting too much of a lot of different things. It's clogging our arteries too. I'm sure that you probably see a lot of heart disease, right? And something I wanted to talk about is that men and women, for instance, women, they have different symptoms when they're going to have a heart attack, right? And it's important to understand that.
That's a great question. Women many times will get heart blockage without having the typical symptoms. Typical symptoms of heart blockage would be crushing chest pain when they are walking or when they are having heart attack. In women, many times they will not get the chest pain. They will get short of breath. They will get mid back pain. They will get neck pain. They will get fatigue. They will get uneasy feeling, but they will not get typical chest pain. So many women are actually asked to leave the emergency room because they are not having chest pain, but in reality, they were having heart symptoms. So I agree with you. As a cardiologist, I'm very aware of women having different symptoms than men with heart blockage or heart disease. But many physicians, many ER physicians, and many general public is not aware that women can have different symptoms when they're having heart disease.
Yeah. So what is a good blood pressure that we should shoot for?
So there are a few things, which is kind of a simple way of me explaining. There are three things where lower the better until you pass out. There are three things in life. One is blood pressure. So lower the better. So if you are 130, 120 is better. If you are 120, 110 is better. If you are 110, 100 is better, as long as you are not blacking out. So lower the better for the blood pressure. My blood pressure now runs 95 to 110 all the time. I used to be on 2 blood pressure medicine when I was 194 pounds. Now that I'm 130, 125 pounds, I'm on 0 blood pressure medicine. My blood pressure is very low. Second thing is glucose. Lower the better until you black out or pass out. So even though we say 100 of blood sugar is better, but lower the better. So 90 is better than 100 and 84 is better than 90 until you black out. And the last thing is the pulse. So lower the pulse, that means it's a sign of good health until you black out. So pulse of 65 is not as good as 60. Pulse of 50 is better than pulse of 60. So those three things I ask everybody, keep the lowest possible until you black out.
Now, what about with cholesterol?
Cholesterol, again, lower the better. At the same time, cholesterol also has a sweet spot. Too low of a cholesterol is also not good. So because there would be higher chance of intracranial hemorrhage, and there are higher chance of certain cancers. So lower cholesterol is also not good. So I would say the cholesterol of between 140 and 160 of total cholesterol is very healthy.
All right. I also wanted to ask you about autoimmune diseases, because I know that over the course of my life, I've seen a rise in autoimmune. It seems like more and more people now have allergies. They can't have gluten. They can't have this and that. What do you think has happened that has led to this rise in autoimmune?
That's a good question. Autoimmune disease is on the rise. Matter of fact, autoimmune disease is as common as heart disease, except it doesn't get that much press because it's very low-level disease where people many times don't get symptoms and many times they just suffer. Heart attack is very, very intense. People will know when they're having heart attack. But when people are having autoimmune disease, many times symptoms are very low level. But autoimmune disease is as common as heart disease, and partly that's because of lot of the refined grains, lot of the wheat products, lot of the animal protein, lot of the dairy. For example, psoriasis is very common in people who eat a lot of dairy. Psoriasis is very common people who have acne. So again, animal products and a lot of the refined grains leads to this autoimmune disease.
And I would think that part of this, in terms of people's health going sideways, has a lot to do with we go out to eat a lot more now than we ever used to before. When I was a kid, or my parents, it used to be we went out very, very rarely, but now it's not uncommon to be going out practically most every single meal. What kind of effect is this having on us?
Wow, that's a great question. I have a separate video on it itself that what eating at the restaurant and now actually eating at home, but food from Uber Eat and DoorDash and a lot of the food from restaurants are brought to home. When you go to the restaurant food, their main goal is to make money. Obviously, they are not your mom, they are not your wife, they are not the person who is cooking at home who has a health in the mind. Their main goal is to make money. So they will add a lot of the oil to make the food palatable. They will add a lot of salt. They will have a lot of animal products. They will have a lot of dairy. They will have a lot of sugar. And all those things lead to a lot of the chronic disease, obesity. Many times, alcohol is served at the restaurant. And when people drink one or two or three drinks, their food craving goes up. And nobody eats broccoli with beer. Most people end up eating pretzel or some kind of pizza or that kind of thing with the alcohol. So going to the restaurant, in my opinion, is no. We all want social activity. So going to the restaurant, maybe one out of 21 meals, I can understand. But like you said, a lot of people will have McDonald's for breakfast, a Subway chicken sandwich for the lunch, and some kind of restaurant where they have a steak or fish. So they will have all three meals from outside the home. And now, like I said earlier, they will have food catered to their home from the restaurant, which is equally unhealthy food. So in 60s and 70s, we used to have those ready-made microwave dinners. Now that is replaced by these food delivery services, which in my opinion is going to kill a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's really hard to see kids getting into this. Seeing kids start at a very early age, it's not that uncommon to see a 2-year-old at like a McDonald's, and they're getting an early start on disease. And then we wonder why when they're 30, 40, they've got issues with their heart. What do you think about raising kids on a whole food plant-based diet? Because I've often heard about parents getting a lot of bad stuff about, oh, you can't have a child, a baby eating just plants, like they have to have meat. What do you say about that?
Wow. I think most people are brainwashed that kids need a lot of animal protein to grow and to become stronger, to get taller. That's not necessary. And like you said, installing the good habits from the young age is very important. Not getting them the McDonald's chicken nuggets or whatever other fast food thing is very important. And there is enough scientific data that kids who eat whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, not only they grow up equally good and they become athletes and they do well in the school, but they also prevent obesity and many chronic disease. Kids as young as age 3, 4, 5, 10 are becoming obese. Childhood obesity, childhood type 2 diabetes is a major growing epidemic. And that's partly because of parents, because kids obviously don't understand the importance of 6 pillars yet. They are not educated. They don't have the sense yet. That's where parents' role, parents' supervision, parents' guidance become very important. And I wish more and more parents start to understand the 6 pillars, not only for themselves, but for their family and for their young kids.
Yeah, it's like if a doctor is not following a healthy way of eating, how can their patients benefit? If a parent is not eating healthy, how can their kids benefit? So you can see how one thing leads to another. And certainly kids are not getting out and exercising like they did when I was a kid. We used to go outside and play a lot. Now there's a lot of kids just staring at a screen, right? Exercise is one of the pillars. How important is that in terms of what we do? Like, we don't have to go to a gym. We can just walk around, right? We can just go take a walk.
Yes, I agree with you. Physical activity is very important. Moving every hour is important. That means mowing your yard, shoveling the snow, doing gardening, vacuuming the house, cleaning the window, doing your dishes, just walking in circle in your living room or family room, going out for a walk in the sunlight, going out in the nature. Like you said, going to the gym is not necessary. We can be physically active. As a matter of fact, people who live in blue zones, they don't have gyms. They just move every hour naturally. They go to their friend's house walking. They go to grocery shopping walking. When they go to grocery store, they don't take the car. They carry bags in their hand. They're washing their own windows, washing their deck. They are mowing their own yard. They don't hire somebody to mow their own yard. So again, being physically active requires just some kind of planning, some kind of interest, some kind of understanding the importance of it. And once people start to understand the importance of physical activity, and once the physical activity starts improving their sleep, improving their mood, improving overall in life, they get addicted to it. Most of my patients are so much more physically active before I met them first time.
It seems like a lot of times people, they decide that they're going to make a change when something happens. They get a heart attack, they get some bad kind of news. And I think that being proactive is probably best, but selling that, trying to get people to be proactive is not the easiest thing. It's almost like they're reactive. Is that what you're seeing a lot?
Yes, I think the American healthcare system is a reactive system. It's not a proactive or preventative system. Here, if a person does not have symptom, not only doctors don't get paid, but none of the medication can be prescribed. So symptoms are must. Most symptoms are too often late in the game in terms of the disease. By the time chest pain happens, heart blockage has happened for 30, 40 years. So we need to start becoming, like you said, proactive from very young age. Matter of fact, I'm a grandfather now. I have a 4-month-old grandson now. And I told our son that if you want his son to live 110, like I want to live 110, if I want his son to live 110, he has to start him on all 6 pillars from day 1 of his birth. And fortunately, our son and his wife is a pediatrician, they're actually following whole food plant-based. They're breastfeeding him pretty much most of his meals. Again, to me, it's very important we become proactive and we start as young as possible, possibly from birth.
Well, let's say somebody wants to be proactive and they want to say, well, how much plaque is in my arteries? What kind of a test can they go for that will show them how much plaque is inside of their arteries now?
So there's a simple test called calcium scoring of the coronary arteries, which only costs about $70 or $80. And most plaques are laden with calcium. So higher the calcium in the arteries of the heart, higher the chances of plaque buildup. So that simple test can tell you how many plaques you have. Blockage in the heart starts happening as early as age 10. So I recommend many of my patients after age 40 to get that calcium scoring done, particularly with the American diet we eat. Calcium score starts to go high as young as age 35, 40, 45. And if the calcium score is very high, that gives some kind of visual motivation to the patients that they need to change their lifestyle right away because the calcium score is coming back high. And it only costs $80 or $90. If someone wants to do more accurate tests, then they can do we call CT angiogram, where actually you can look at the opening, whether you have a plaque blocking the blood supply to the heart or not. There are various ways of looking at it, but simple calcium scoring, in my opinion, is must for anybody above 40 for male, above 50 for female.
Okay. Now, what about in terms of, let's say, having a colonoscopy or a sigmoidoscopy? Which of those two would you recommend?
Colonoscopy is the right test to do. And the age group, and I'm not the gastroenterologist, I'm a cardiologist, but the age group for colonoscopy has been lower now, I think, as I understand, to 45. And for African American male, that number is even lower because they have a higher chance of colon cancer. But again, it goes back to the nutrition pillar. The reason the colon cancer many times is on the rise is because of elimination of a lot of the fiber, a lot of the roughage in the diet. So a lot of the polyps form, and those polyps leads to colon cancer. So again, nutrition from the birth will prevent many of the colon cancers. For example, in India, when I was growing up, when I was in medical school, colon cancer was rare because everybody was vegetarian and everybody was plant-based. So they got so much fiber, colon cancer incidence was very low. It was there, but it was extremely low compared to America. America, colon cancer is an epidemic.
Yes, it definitely is. And, smoking used to be more of an epidemic. It's people aren't doing quite as much as they used to, but certainly you as being a cardiologist, I'm sure that you've seen a lot of people wreck their hearts by smoking. Can you talk about the damage that's done from picking up a smoking habit, and how important is it for us to get rid of it?
Very important. Fortunately, smoking has gone down. When I came to Michigan in 1995, 25% of Michigan people were smoking. 25%, 1 in 4. Now, fortunately, that number has gone down to 16, 15%. So smoking definitely has gone down. At the same time, vaping has gone up. And vaping still gives you nicotine, and that nicotine, even though it may not be bad for lungs when you don't smoke and do vaping, but for heart, vaping is as bad as smoking. So both smoking and vaping should not be done.
I would agree. That is very hard on the heart, isn't it? Very, very hard.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, I want to make sure that people know where they can find you if they want to go look at your videos and they want to learn more about the 6 pillars and what you have to offer. Where can we find you?
So they can go to my YouTube channel, Healthy Living with Dr. Aajay Shah, or they can go to my Facebook page and they can like the page so they will get all the new information. Healthy Living with Dr. Aajay Shah. I have about 200 videos on my YouTube channel. There are weight loss videos, there are 6 pillars videos, there are depression videos, there are a lot of interviews, a lot of big people, including Brenda Davis, Joel Kahn, a lot of the big people, a lot of interviews. So they can just go to my YouTube channel and start watching 1 to 2 videos a week, and they will be on their way to living healthy.
That sounds great. I will be sure to get those links up and down. And also, I want to thank you for coming on. You are an inspiration. You are a doctor who changed his own life. You're a great example. You are a hero. Really, we need a lot more doctors like you out there. And I really have had a great time talking with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.